Now, after that last situation involving Lil Baby, I've most definitely noticed the energy towards him has shifted a little, and it seems like people are turning on Lil Baby. Now, Lil Baby, want to continue from where we left off with that last Lil Baby video. Like we spoke about a week ago, Lil Baby ended up canceling over 7 shows for his upcoming tour, and all the cities he canceled in were places where Lil Baby should be able to pull an audience. It included Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Louisville, Phoenix, Sacramento, Salt Lake City, and Denver. Ever since then, there's been a huge conversation about whether or not Lil Baby's fallen off. I kind of touched on it a little bit, but not enough for my liking. So I want to speak a little bit about that and also give my unique viewpoint of this conversation. First of all, there's fallen off for real, and then there's fallen off in contrast to how popular one might have been in the past. For Lil Baby, he had a crazy run between 2019 and going into the end of 2020. In early 2020, he dropped My Turn, which was his second studio album. It did extremely well and definitely put him on a map on a mainstream level and solidified his spot as one of the hottest young rappers doing it back then. That same year, during the height of the BLM protests, he dropped The Bigger Picture, which was an extremely important pinnacle for him. Just with the impact and strength off of that record alone, a lot of people started putting Lil Baby in a different category in comparison to his peers. Overall, Lil Baby is one of those rappers who's managed to consistently show up with a style that he's very good at executing. That's one thing about Lil Baby. Even though he's consistently boring in a lot of ways, he's also consistently consistent. With that being said, I don't know about you, but I do personally label Lil Baby as fast food rap. One of the biggest reasons why I say that, there's not a lot of depth to his music. Lil Baby is a very surface level rapper like most mainstream rappers. He doesn't go too deep into anything. Baby is someone who I look at and say he touches on a lot of real topics, but he doesn't actually talk about those real topics. He more so glosses over those topics. See, there's a difference between a rapper who actually puts their pen to the pad and brings us through the depths of their mind, and someone who hops in the booth and just regurgitates the same shit they've been saying on their last project in different ways. And Lil Baby is also someone who doesn't write down his raps. This is something he himself has said in the past, and anyone who's actually somewhat attentive can tell. And I think this is a really big issue with a lot of rappers, specifically a lot of the young rappers who've came out in the last couple years. A lot of them have this sense of pride when it comes to not having to write down their bars, which that's not really a flex unless you're capable of doing that while simultaneously delivering very high quality bars. Like Lil Wayne is a good example, who stopped writing down his lyrics at a young age and goes straight off the dome in a booth. Now that's Lil Wayne. He's a master at the art of rapping. He's a different breed. And by the way, Lil Wayne earlier this year revealed that he stopped writing down his lyrics after he found out that Jay-Z went off the dome. See, now I wonder how many rappers in the game found out that Lil Wayne doesn't write down his bars and decided to follow suit, because a lot of them are of course inspired and influenced by Lil Wayne himself. And this is more common than you think, by the way. Most of the OGs don't write down their shit because they're made for this, clearly. But guys like Lil Baby, I don't think will ever truly excel to very high levels of their writing, because they literally don't do the most basic part that's required for that, which is writing down your shit. How are you going to improve your writing capabilities if you don't put that pen to the pad? I mean, if we take a look at Lil Baby's last album or the one before that and compare both of those, it's essentially one big collection of a bunch of songs that either sound the same, they have the same type of beat, the lyrical content is fairly the same, and it's one regurgitated project after another. As much as I want to say, Lil Baby, switch up your entire style just for the sake of it, that's not a smart approach, because he's built an audience in the millions off of that sound. When people criticize guys like Lil Baby, a lot of it has to do with, man, this sounds kind of lazy. There's not a whole lot of contrast between the album he dropped now and the one before that. Although My Turn was a great project, I loved it. That's as good as Lil Baby gets though. And that's worrying, since he's considered by a lot of people, you know, to be one of the hottest rappers in the game. The Baby went through the same thing, but his shelf life was as short as that milk that was in my fridge a few days ago. The Baby had a really intense season of success, and then all the controversy along with the average music took away from that moment. Lil Baby has managed to keep a lot of that momentum he had, but has definitely leveled out since. The fact that he hasn't been involved in nothing all that controversial, I think has served him really well, because when you think of Lil Baby's name, you think about his music, no matter how average a big portion of that music might sound. Are people getting tired of Lil Baby's music though? See, See, what I think is this. I think people are tired of rappers not innovating. 99% of the hottest rappers in the game are simply not pushing the envelope in music enough. The majority of them are coasting off of the same style they came in the game with, and the people are obviously eating it up. So where exactly is the incentive for Lil Baby to push the boundaries? He's been recognized in the game on a big level since 2018. That's 5 years, and he's doing better than ever right now. As for those canceled shows, by the way, he is after all doing a tour full of arenas. I believe it's almost 30 shows minus 7, 23, so over 20 other venues he's going to continue to tour in. Lil Baby could obviously sell out a 5,000 to 7,000 venue easy, but he spread his wings a little too much, and plus the tickets were expensive as hell. I mean, it was like $900 for the pit, which is insane. Like I stated in that last video, I think the stronger of an emotional connection you have with your audience, the higher the likelihood they will go out of their way to come out when you do show up. Yes, you got to know your market, what demand there is for your name and the places that you're going to visit, and you got to plan accordingly, because you can't show up in no man's land and expect motherfuckers to pop out of nowhere. However, you could have a bunch of listeners scattered all over one area that may not be where your main target audience are located. And what happens a lot of times is when people see that you're performing somewhat close to them, they take that 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour drive to go out and see you. And why are they doing that? Because they have an emotional connection to your brand as an artist. The rappers who have people going out of their way to see them consistently, you know, sometimes they catch flights to see them perform, are all rappers who have a strong bond with their listeners. Guys like Lil Baby don't have that tight-knit audience. He might be very popular, but what's even stronger than that popularity is when your listeners feel like they align with who you are rather than what you are. See, at that point, it's not about your status, it's about your being. And it's not necessarily because of the content of the music, although that plays a huge part. The bulk of that is the identity of the artist. What percentage of Lil Baby's listeners actually identify with who he is on a personal level? I would argue that a rapper like NF, who we spoke about on that Lil Baby video, probably has a higher level of concentration of people who connect with him as an artist at the core than a guy like Lil Baby, despite the big gap between their level of fame. It's not about how many people you reach, it's about what impact that reach actually has on people. The win is really in being able to convert strangers to casual listeners to fans to super fans, and you don't need to be Lil Baby to do this. You can literally have 10 listeners or even 5. So when I look at how people are responding to Lil Baby now, it's evident that the fickleness that comes with not being as relatable as you can be as an artist does play a part in the response itself. I don't think Lil Baby has fell off at all, but I do think the reception he's receiving after this one little fall does expose the level of capriciousness that's present within his fan base. Because right now, believe it or not, the perception of Lil Baby has taken a hit. Him canceling those 7 shows doesn't even necessarily say a lot about where he's headed, because he just made a miscalculation on how many tickets he could sell. That's what we call a business move that just wasn't right. But it does reveal that even a lot of the people who were fans of him could get swayed by one public misstep. To me, that says a lot about the shaky ground he's walking on. So it doesn't say a lot about Lil Baby himself as it does how people feel about Lil Baby. Anyway, are people getting bored of Lil Baby's music? He's of course gonna continue doing well, but this conversation is being had right now. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it, so you let me know. Have a blessed day, catch you on the next one, and I am out.